Welcome to the deep dive. So, ever get that feeling, that itch for a big change, especially maybe after 40?
That restlessness,
Yeah.
definitely.
And you sent us some really interesting food for thought on this. There's a blog post, Thriving After 40,
Right?
and an article from Girl Talk HQ, Writing Your Second Act in Life.
Two interesting perspectives on, well, a similar theme.
Exactly. And today we want to, really dig into them, right?
Get past the headlines.
Yeah, not just skim the surface. See what the core ideas are
Yeah.
about making those big transitions and like how you can actually use these ideas, no matter where you are in life.
Sounds good. It's interesting how they tackle it. One feels more about maximizing a life stage, maybe.
Yeah, the Thriving After 41.
And the other, Girl Talk HQ,
Hmm.
seems much more focused on actively crafting something totally new, authoring it.
Right. But both really boil down to personal evolution, I think.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that probably hits home for a lot of people. Okay, so let's start with Thriving After 40. It kicks off by talking about that feeling. Maybe you recognize this. That after all that drive in your, say, 20s and 30s,
The intensity.
things might feel like they're settling down, maybe mid-40s hit and the rhythm changes.
Yeah, it touches on that. You've been pushing, chasing goals, and then suddenly 50 is, like, on the horizon.
And it feels different.
Exactly. And there's that sort of societal whisper, isn't there, that maybe by 50 you should be, I don't know, easing up.
Taking your foot off the gas. Yeah.
And you also become more aware of, well, time, the finite nature of it all. Maybe physical changes, energy shifts.
Which can be a real mental adjustment, especially if you've always been very goal-oriented.
Definitely.
But the post doesn't just leave it there, does it? It says, hold on, achieving big things is still possible.
Right. It pushes back against that narrative of decline.
It just requires maybe a different approach, a bit more resilience, perhaps.
And it makes a really key point about wisdom and experience.
Ah, yes. That they're not downsides.
Not at all. They're assets. Huge advantages, actually.
Mm.
How do you see that playing out? That wisdom in these later acts?
Well, I think that experience gives you a much better filter,
For evaluating things.
Yeah. You probably understand yourself better, your strengths, what actually motivates you, what drains you.
That self-awareness is gold when you're thinking about a new direction.
Totally. You're not starting from zero. You're building on years of, learning from the good stuff and the mistakes.
Exactly. Which kind of leads nicely into the Girl Talk HQ piece, doesn't it?
It does, this concept of second acts.
Yeah, it frames these big shifts, career, personal life, whatever, as things you actively create.
Not just things that happen to you.
Precisely. Through
Yeah.
reinvention and, crucially, intention.
That word intention feels really important here.
It is. It shifts the focus from just reacting to actually, like, designing what's next.
The article almost suggests you're writing the script, staging it.
Yeah. You're the author, the director. You have agency. It's not just fate.
Okay, so the Girl Talk HQ article also talks about needing to acknowledge the end of Act 1.
Making space.
Recognizing when that first chapter, well, it's done, whether it ended smoothly or maybe not so smoothly.
Right. It could be anything, couldn't it? A feeling
Yeah.
of just being stuck.
Or maybe something external happens, a redundancy, a relationship ending.
Yeah. The author uses her own story, right? Leaving a tough situation at 24 for another challenging job.
In Manhattan, yeah. Even though the job itself wasn't the final destination.
Exactly. It wasn't about finding the perfect thing immediately. It was about recognizing the current path wasn't right.
And making a deliberate move. A break.
It does make you think about those moments in your own life, doesn't it? When you just knew something had to change.
Definitely. Maybe you didn't even call it ending an act then, but looking back,
Yeah.
you see the transition.
And what I found really encouraging in that Girl Talk HQ piece is the idea that it's not just one second act.
Ah, right. Not a two-act play structure for life.
No. It suggests you can have multiple reinventions. You can keep exploring different parts of yourself.
What do you think the implication of that is? Thinking of life in multiple acts.
Well, it sort of takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah, like if one second act doesn't quite work out.
It's not game over. It's just the end of that act. Time for the next one.
The author's own life is a great example there.
It really is. Journalist, then communications consultant.
Then starting an MFA at 52 to become a fiction writer, publishing after 60.
That's a powerful story of evolving, isn't it?
Mm.
It completely blows up the idea of a straight, linear career path.
It feels more like, I don't know, a portfolio. A portfolio life.
That's a great way to put it. Weaving together different threads over time, not just step-by-step progression.
And this connects back nicely to the practical advice in Thriving After 40.
Ah, the how-to part.
Yeah. If we see these as strategies for, navigating these acts successfully, there's some concrete things.
Absolutely. The blog lists several key things. Pursuing ambitious goals is one.
Don't downsize your dreams just because you're older.
Exactly. Then maximizing your potential. Actively using that wisdom we talked about.
Okay.
Revitalizing your network is another big one. Finding people who inspire you, maybe challenge you a bit.
Interesting. And lifelong learning.
Yes.
Mm.
Approaching it with real enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe most importantly, investing in your health.
Physical and mental.
Sure.
Foundational stuff.
Can't build much without that foundation.
Yeah. That point about the network, revitalizing it, how key is that when you're shifting gears?
I think it can be incredibly important. Your Act 1 network might be tied to your old life, your old role.
Right.
So as you move towards something new, connecting with people already in that space, well, that brings new insights, support, maybe even doors opening.
Building a network for the next act.
Precisely. A support system aligned with where you're going, not just where you've been.
Okay. Thriving After 40 also gets into redefining success.
Yeah, moving beyond just external markers.
Right. It's more about what actually brings you fulfillment, what matters to you.
It emphasizes achieving things driven by your own ambition, your own values, not just ticking boxes society sets out.
Living more authentically, maybe, without worrying so much about judgment?
That's a huge part of it. That internal compass becomes stronger, hopefully. You've learned what truly resonates.
And it gives some steps for actually rebuilding with that mindset, which again echoes that scripting idea from Girl Talk HQ.
Oh, so?
Well, it talks about visionary goal setting, crafting a really exciting picture of the future, bold goals.
Okay, having a vision.
Then strategic steps, a clear plan to actually move towards those goals.
Making it actionable.
Expanding horizons, that continuous learning piece again, but with ambition.
Right.
Forging powerful alliances, connecting with successful, ambitious people for support.
Like that revitalized network idea.
And finally, embracing the journey, recognizing that every step, even the missteps, are part of it.
Those steps aren't just theory, are they? Visionary goals. That's about really imagining it vividly. Strategy breaks it down. Learning keeps you sharp. Alliances provide fuel. It all works together.
But the Girl Talk HQ piece adds another layer, doesn't it? This idea of drama.
Yes. The theatrical analogy. Rising action, confrontation, conflict.
It acknowledges that big changes, big reinventions, they often bring emotional turbulence.
Which is just realistic, isn't it? Leaving a career you've known for years, starting a business, major life changes.
Of course, there's bound to be emotion.
And the article says don't ignore that, don't suppress it.
Why not? What's the value in facing the emotional side?
Well, those feelings, fear, excitement, maybe sadness for what's ending, joy for what's beginning, their information.
Information. How?
Fear might point to risks you need to manage. Sadness honors the transition. Excitement confirms you're onto something meaningful for you.
So leaning into the feelings rather than running from them?
Exactly. They can provide insight, even motivation, if you listen to them.
It makes you think about your own past changes, doesn't it? What emotions came up? What did they tell you?
It's a really crucial part of navigating these acts with intention.
And that Girl Talk HQ piece wraps up with such an empowering message.
The author-director-star idea.
Yeah. You're in charge of your story. You shape the narrative, choose the cast, manage your own inner critic.
It's a powerful reminder of your own agency. Even when things feel chaotic or uncertain.
You always have choices.
You do. Choices in how you respond, what direction you take next, and that final line. There's always another second act.
That's hopeful. Liberating, even.
It really is.
Okay, so wrapping this up, bringing it all together, what these sources seem to be telling us is life after 40, it's not this predetermined slope downwards.
Far from it. It's an opportunity. A big one.
For intentional change, for pursuing ambitions, but maybe with more wisdom, more freedom from past expectations.
And these second acts, whether you have one or like 5, they need some conscious effort.
Right. Setting goals, learning, building connections.
And being willing to ride the emotional waves that come with real change.
The core message feels like empowerment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You're not just drifting. You can actively shape things. Write that next chapter with purpose.
So as you're listening, maybe pause for a second. Think about the act you feel you're in right now.
What's the current storyline?
And if you feel that little pull, that nudge towards something different, what could a next second act look like for you?
Drawing on everything you've learned, everything you are now, what are those ambitions?
And maybe, what's just one small thing, one deliberate step you could take, even today, to start sketching out that next phase?
That's definitely something we're thinking about.
Thanks for diving deep with us.